Okay, so this is the client scenario. Elizabeth is a 44-year-old married Hispanic woman. She is from Alamosa, Colorado, and this is our third session. She reports to therapy because a friend just passed away suddenly. However, since she was a child, important people in her life have been dying in significant numbers. She lives in fear of the next one. At the moment, she's overcome by a sense of helplessness and despair due to the recent death of her close friend. David was only 35, but died of a heart attack in his sleep. Given the high number of deaths she's dealt with, she is especially upset by David's passing and questions whether things really happened for a reason or not. The therapeutic approach has to do with meaning reconstruction. Specifically, the ability to make sense of a loss is a primary indicator of the capacity to heal and move forward, and that's what we're working on in this session. There are two exercises we've engaged in so far. One of them is directed journaling, and the other is the ISLES, I-S-L-E-S, which stands for the Integration of Stressful Life Experiences Scale. It's a 16-item instrument that tracks grief symptoms. The version I've chosen to use is shortened to 6 key items and is perhaps more suited to repeated administration in a time-limited therapeutic setting. The 6 items are paired with responses on a Likert scale that gauges one's agreements with the statements. The responses strongly disagree, disagree, neither disagree nor agree, agree, or strongly agree are categorized and tallied. So, the items on the short form of the ISLES are as follows. Number 1, this event's incomprehensible to me. 2, I'm perplexed by what happened. 3, I have difficulty integrating this event into my understanding of the world. 4, since this event happened, I don't know where to go next in my life. 5, this event has made me feel less purposeful. And 6, I don't understand myself anymore since this event. So, we'll go ahead and begin the session now. Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming. Nice to see you.
Hi.
How's the last week been for you?
Well, it's been kind of rough.
It has? Sorry to hear. In what way?
Well, I have a full-time job. I have to go to it or I don't get paid because I'm out of my paid time off. I've been sick a lot.
I see.
And my clients they always know when there's something wrong with me, no matter how I try to hide it. And it's been really hard. I haven't been able to take care of myself because I'm having to go to work, and I'm not really effective at my job because of not being able to take care of myself.
I hear you. That sounds like a heavy load to balance. It sounds like you're in a really difficult place. Can I ask what your support system is like right now?
It's pretty okay. I have a good boss. She's really understanding. I don't want to lay everything on other people. I don't want to be a burden or anything, but I guess the best thing I have going on for me is that I have my friend Rita, and she is also friends with David, so it helps that we're going through the same thing.
Uh-huh. That's good. I'm glad to hear that you're not alone right now in between sessions. Having some social support is really key to healing. So last week I asked you to start a journal, and I wanted you to think about David. I wanted you to think about his life and what the ways are that you could honor and celebrate his life. So are you comfortable sharing with what you wrote?
Sure, I guess some of it's a little emotional, for me.
That's fine. Share what you're comfortable with.
Okay. When I think about David, I'm struck by the tragedy because he was so young. I know he wasn't in the greatest of health and that he had a drinking habit. Still, I never thought this would happen. David was one of the kindest and least judgmental people I've ever known. I met him working at a job where he was my coworker. He and I and another coworker ended up hanging out together, and the three of us became close friends. we would come up with silly nicknames for my boyfriends and joke around about them because I dated a lot of nerd guys. Anyways, I really miss those days, and I felt like we had our own little club. It was so fun. Rita, my other coworker, and I loved David and thought of him as a brother. We had a lot of good times together. He was funny and gentle and such a good person. I'm not really ready to say goodbye, and this isn't fair at all.
It sounds like he was a close and valuable friend. I'm so sorry for your loss. I want to share this idea with you. It might be something that is hard to think about right now, but I think that it might plant a seed in your head. And that is that perhaps you don't have to say goodbye. That maybe what you can do is reorganize your relationship with David going forward. Even though he's physically gone, that doesn't mean that your friendship with him has to be categorically over.
It's hard for me to imagine a relationship with someone who doesn't really seem to exist anymore. He was a really valuable friend. I miss him greatly. You said something about a event story. I'm not really sure what that means.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. This might have been in our last session. One of the things that I was referring to was the narrative component of what happened. So, event story is just sort of counseling jargon.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really want to know about is your internal narrative at the time. What was the situation in David's life? What was the situation in your life?
Well, we were both kind of busy. I'm always busy with my job, and I manage a chronic illness, so I'm tired a lot. He was a newlywed, and he had children, and I know that he was a DJ, and on top of having a full-time job, we didn't have a lot of time to hang out, and towards the end. I was really confused about his death because I thought it was an overdose, maybe a suicide, and I just didn't understand how a 35-year-old could just go to sleep one day and not wake up.
But guys die in his sleep, right? So I want to try an exercise I think this might help you to process some of the complex feelings that you're having. And it's called the integration of stressful life experiences scale, and it helps grieving people to cope with grief. So it contains a number of statements, and what I want you to do is to respond to those statements with strongly disagree, neither disagree nor agree, or strongly agree.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's worth a try.
Okay, so let's see. The first one is, this event is incomprehensible to me.
Yeah, I guess I could strongly agree with that. I mean, people try to make sense of it by saying, there's a reason for everything, and I just can't wrap my head around that. There just doesn't seem to be a good reason for this at all. He was just he's so young.
Could it be that people, friends and family, just don't know what else to say and want to be helpful?
I suppose, but I don't feel like it's helpful. I've never felt like it's helpful, and I wish that if they don't know what to say, they would just shut up.
Mm-hmm. I can see your perspective. My response, though, is that I think it might be hard for people to keep their advice to themselves, especially in a situation like this. So my question is, can you be okay with people's unwarranted advice, even if it grates on your nerves?
I don't know. I guess I'll try.
It's not easy. It's not easy. So, let's see. The next statement on the aisles is, I'm perplexed by what happened.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that too. Simply because a heart attack at 35 is just really perplexing to me.
Right, right. Yeah, that is a mystery. So, does it help to know that David's death wasn't from an overdose or an accident?
No, not really. I mean, either way, dead is dead, and I'm still left without him.
Right.
I don't think it matters how he died. The outcome is still the same.
I see.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really add any justice to it.
No, no.
The next statement on the aisles is, I have difficulty integrating this event into my understanding of the world.
That's a little abstract for me.
It is sort of abstract. We can skip this one if you'd like. We don't have to do this one.
No, I think we could try it. I'm not really sure exactly what to say. I mean, parents shouldn't die before they're, they shouldn't be burying their children. It's not.
Right.
It's not ordinary. It's not right, and I guess it just bothers me because I've known that to happen a lot in my life. It's been most of the time. Children dying and people, young adults, things like that. It just seems meaningless and awful.
Is it possible that this series of losses has made you a deeper person?
Yeah, but look at the cost. I mean, look at how much suffering I've had to go through. How much do I have to go through in order to learn whatever lesson the universe is trying to teach me or whatever it is? I just don't get it.
If you're still here, persevering, functioning, would you say that the cost was worth it?
I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be who I am today without those kind of experience. So I guess still.
That's absolutely true. That you wouldn't be who you are without those experiences. And that in itself is a valuable gift. So don't discount yourself in that sense. Let's see. The next question on the aisles, we're going to revisit the aisles each week. And so if you're not exactly sure what to say, you'll definitely have time to think about these.
Good,
So,
good.
let's see. The next item on the scale is, since this event, I don't know where to go next in my life.
I guess I agree with that, but not strongly.
Okay. Can you explain? Tell me more about that.
David's death made me feel a little listless. I have brain fog going on. I forget things. I'm not focused. And I find it agonizing to make even the smallest decisions.
Oh, what helps you to make sense of the loss?
Nothing really. Maybe the fact that he drank a lot, and he did have a smoking habit too. He tried to quit and he talked about exercising more, but it seems like even with that kind of abuse to his body, it's still too young to die. I mean, look at Keith Richards. He's known for being abusive to his body, and he's ancient.
Perhaps one's health condition is more important than their chronological age.
Yeah, I
In the case
suppose.
of Keith Richards, I would say that that's perhaps luck of the draw. And
I guess maybe some of it's genetics, but if you don't take care of yourself, it's a lot more likely you'll go before your time. I guess it helps to think about that a little.
Absolutely, yeah. So, let's see. Next question. Can you reconstruct the meaning that you see in David's death? In other words, is there an alternative way to see it besides being the product of this chaotic and unjust world? Is it possible that David's death had more to do with his lack of self-care than anything else?
Sure, it's hard to accept that concept. I've experienced so much loss in my life, and I tend to see it as one big, huge train of things, like a pattern, you know, and I get really sick of that pattern.
Right. If there is a pattern, it's definitely not one of your own making. I think there is a pattern in how you perceive these events. Can you tell me what you think that pattern is?
Well, I guess thinking about it all as one huge, huge loss instead of each individual circumstance. It's overwhelming when somebody dies. It just brings back the memories of everyone else that died. It feels like I have to go through everything all over again.
They all sort of run together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, if you can think about the individual circumstances, does that help you to see these losses in a different way?
Well, yeah, because it's always felt like the universe is out to get me, and I'm a victim of Murphy's Law.